Welcome everyone. The Tanya for today, we are holding in chapter 37, 26 of Adar. And since we didn't do the Tanya for Saturday, I'm just going to tell you the takeaway from Saturday's Tanya. We learned on Saturday in chapter 37 that every single Jew is important. Each of us has a divine purpose, for which reason we were born. So each has a divine purpose, and that's why we were born. It is our job to elevate in our small circle. The question now becomes, what are you doing that your fellow realizes his purpose? The question now becomes, what are you doing that your fellow realizes his purpose? Meaning helping out others to realize their own purpose. Today's Tanya, the flow, previously we learned that every single Jew's soul is integral to the mission of making this world into a dwelling place for God, meaning every Jew has the mission to make this world a dwelling place for God. In today's lesson, our souls descended to this lowly realm, to this lowly world, not for their own potential, for that is infinitely greater in heaven, meaning that they would do much better staying there in heaven, in order to rectify this world. So the purpose really why they came down is to rectify this world, tikkun olam, what we call. So this process the process of tikkun olam, of rectifying the world, starts within. Begins within, with rectifying, refining one's own inner animal-like soul and body by introducing godliness to it. So the way to refine your animalistic soul and your body is by introducing godliness to it. The more the better, quality and quantity. In Hebrew it says that each spark did not descend into this world. When we say spark, we mean a soul that came down to this world to perfect itself, but to perfect the body and the vital soul, meaning the neshama, the soul for itself, did not come down to perfect its own self, rather it came down to help the body rectify itself and the animalistic soul, as the Alter Rebbe will soon conclude. So having touched upon the subject of the soul's descent, however, he adds a parenthetical comment emphasizing the magnitude of this descent. On entering this world, a soul may perhaps attain the loftiest heights. Coming into this world, the soul may perhaps attain the loftiest heights of love and fear of God that are experienced by a perfect tzaddik, by a perfect righteous man. But even this cannot compare to the love and fear that it experienced while in the spiritual world before its descent. So, in other words, the soul did much better staying in the higher world before coming down. No matter how much your accomplishments are going to be with attaining love and fear of God, just like a tzaddik, you're still going to do better. The soul did better and will do better, being without the limitation of the body and the vital soul, the animalistic soul. Though it is indeed a great descent, veritable exile for the soul, like the famous saying that when the neshama, a baby is born, the baby is crying and everybody is laughing. Because why the baby is crying? Besides the change of environment, it's because that his journey is starting. His journey starts, and it's not an easy journey. And when the neshama leaves the world, it's known that everybody is laughing. Everybody is crying, and the person is laughing, the person is happy. Why? Because he completed his mission. Everybody is crying because they will miss him. But he will be happy because he completed his mission. He knows that he did his job, and that's why the neshama left the world. The neshama would not leave the world if it did not complete its mission. So, bottom line, it's a yerida gedola. It's a great descent. It's an exile for the neshama to be in the vital soul, to animate the body, to give life to the physical body, animalistic soul. Ki gam sheyeh tzaddik gomer. Even if the person will be a great tzaddik, complete tzaddik, serves Hashem b'yiro v'avora b'tanugim, serve Hashem with great love and delight. We would never reach the levels that the neshama already attained before coming into this world. Not even a tiny bit, not even close to the accomplishments, to the closeness that the soul had with godliness, with God before coming into this body. There is no similarity whatsoever. This is known to every intelligent man, because the body cannot handle such revelations. So meaning the experiences that neshama had before coming into the body, once entering the body, we cannot have the same levels of experiences, the same revelations, because our body is limited. So the body conceals, it does not allow us to have the same type of revelations. Having concluded his comment on the formidable nature of the soul's descent, the Alter Rebbe returns to his original point. The descent of the soul is not for its own sake. So really, why are we coming down? It's not for its own sake. Because as we said before, it was already attaining a higher level. So what's the purpose of coming down? The purpose of coming into this world, to be enclosed in the physical body and the vital soul and the animalistic soul, so the only purpose is to rectify them, to rectify the body. So the neshama is a messenger to help out the body to be more refined, to be more godly, more spiritual, and to separate them from the evil of the three impure husk and shells. How does the soul protects the body and the vital soul from the three impure husk and shells? By keeping you away from the 365 negative prohibitions. Telling you not to do it, meaning the inner voice that tells you not to violate the 365 prohibitions. That's coming from the neshama. They're trying to protect you, trying to protect the body and the animalistic soul and the vital soul not to transgress. And to elevate the vital soul with its share of this world to a higher place, and to elevate his vital soul together with the portion of the world at large that relates to it. And to connect them, to unite them with the infinite light of Hashem. Binding and uniting them with the infinite light, which he draws into them by performing all the 248 positive commandments through the agency of the vital soul. Who is the one that fulfills all the positive commandments? It's the vital soul that does it. So we see that the neshama is really contributing two things. Number one, it keeps you away from the 365 don't do's. And by keeping you away from it, it really protects you from giving life to the three impure husk and shells, becoming a chariot to them, giving them life. And another contributing factor that the neshama is helping you, aiding you to do the 248 positive commandments, binding you and uniting you with the infinite light of Hashem. Since the vital soul is the one that actually does the mitzvahs, you have to do it with your body. So the body is crucial, is important for this. As we explained it in chapter 36, the divine soul can activate the body in performance of the mitzvahs only by way of the vital soul. You still have to have the vital soul. It's written in the writings of Rabbi Chaim Vital, the disciple of the Arizal, that the divine soul itself does not need perfecting at all. Divine soul is already perfect. And the reason why it came down to this world is only to draw down light and to bring about rectification, refinement, repairing. This is really the secret of the descent of the Shechina, to elevate the sparks. And this parallels exactly to the mystery of the exile of the Shechina, whose purpose is to refine the sparks of holiness, which fell into the klippas, which fell into places of impurity, places of concealment, places of darkness. So too does the divine soul enter into exile within the body and vital soul in order to perfect them, to extract from them the sparks of holiness which they contain. So the takeaway from today's Tanya: ask yourself, why did your divine soul need to come down into this world? For what purpose your personal, individual divine soul came down to this world? It was pretty close to God before it came down. Your conclusion will be, it must have a divine mission within this world, within this physical world. So I'll end off with the teaching of the Alter Rebbe. She writes in Likutei Torah that there is a Pach Nitzotzin, the 288 sparks, and the Jewish people had to spend a considerable amount of time in Egypt, 202 years in Mitzrayim. And the purpose of spending so many years in Mitzrayim was to elevate the sparks. Mitzrayim was a place loaded with sparks, with godly sparks. And that's why they spent so much time there. Now, if they already elevated the sparks, what do we need to do? So it's known that you have 200, Redu is 210 years spending in Mitzrayim. The sparks that they elevated, meaning they spent in Mitzrayim 210 years. The heavy-duty exile, meaning the back-breaking labor, the hardcore work in Mitzrayim, was for 86 years. But the total sparks that were elevated in Egypt were 202. 202 sparks were elevated. And so from 288, we are left with 86 sparks. 86 master sparks that it's incumbent on every single one of us to tap into and to elevate them to the higher source, to the source of holiness, to the source of sanctity. Bochum Tiyu, should all be blessed. We'll continue with the next segment shortly.